So for those who are just going, this is fantastic, let's just let this happen, Jordan, what would you say to those, and especially in Victoria, because it's a very woke state. It's a crazy, weak, insipid state at times.
It's funny because, you say that, Mike, but the reality is that Victorians voted no almost as strongly as every other state except Canberra, and we won't talk about Canberra. It's like the cousin you like to ignore at Christmas. I'm sure we'll be coming into that season soon. There's always that one. But Victorians, when they were given the opportunity, as Peter said, overwhelmingly voted against this. So I think that, while it is fun to treat Victoria as the pinata of the great,
no one is doing much now. So
no. And I think that the real answer to your question is that when rubber hits the road and these kinds of provisions start to impact people's everyday lives, they say that there's no irreligious men in the trenches. And in the same way, I think perhaps there might not be any bleeding heart leftists when the reality of the situation comes calling, because the little town of Natimuk that we talked about last time I was on the program, the people in that town, by and large, are people who would have previously been Greens voters. They're people who actually care a lot about reconciliation, and they think that there do need to be steps taken to acknowledge past injustices and so forth. But what they've realised, and the reality of the situation has been brought home to them, that by making a very reasonable request that they be consulted, that their rights and connection with the land be taken into account and be part of the mix, not excluded from consideration, suddenly they're being branded by Greens members in the upper house as racists and as divisive and all this sort of thing. So, and they're shocked because they're saying, I don't understand. Like, we aren't arguing that, there shouldn't be, a reckoning, there shouldn't be sort of reconciliation, but now essentially suddenly this is all happening in our backyard and we're being treated like fascists for having reasonable disagreements. So I think that part of the problem is that for most Victorians, that's not their reality. These decisions are being made primarily by people in Melbourne, elected by people in Melbourne, but most strongly impacting people who live in regional Victoria. I think that's one big part of the problem.
And it's always been that way. Because I lived in Mildura, heaven forbid. I actually wouldn't call it living. Benny, I was there in Mildura.
Well, as I say every time you bring that up, the best thing about Mildura is that it's as far away as it's possible to be from Melbourne and still be in Victoria. So
actually, you're being cruel now. Stop it. only I can say rude things about Mildura. but you are right though. It's impacting those in the bush.